Well, right off the get-go, I already with my brother here, I feel personally attacked.
Well,
I mean,
all babies in the family have a
That's what they all
special
say.
spot,
That's what
right,
moms
Brian?
have to say, right?
Yeah,
You got it. That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
how did you wind up on golf?
That's
out
right.
of all things.
My standpoint is I feel like we sort of stumbled on golf. We really weren't going to look at golf, and
we listened to the seniors in that community. We listened to the economic development committees, and we decided that we would make an offer.
And we bought Ashley 2 years after we bought Ivy.
right,
That's
right,
right.
right.
So your handicap, Chandler, is what? Tell us what it
Right
is.
now it's 1.
Yeah, so we're dealing with a really good self-taught golfer.
Our crew, I think it was by noon, you had the walls torn down, carpet was being taken out the back door. The next day, Dean goes, "What did you say to her?" Because you brought in all the troops. You brought in the army.
Around the table with Vickie. Just like gathering around the dinner table with loved ones and friends, we're here to share stories, insight, and inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Around the Table with Vickie. I'm your co-host, Chris Runk, and to my right, as always, she's the star of the show. I get to call her Mom, Vickie Runk.
Hi, everybody. So good to be back.
And Mom, it's another cold one outside.
It is.
It is cold outside the studio, but
It's warm inside because we're going to talk about golf.
it's a weird time to be talking about golf.
I know, it
But
is. We're going to get everybody ready
That's
for
right.
warm weather.
Getting ready for the new season. So kind of just jumping right in on it. We are going to be talking about golf today. We'll be talking about specifically Ivy Hill Golf Course and kind of coming at this show as an entrepreneurship, leadership, growth story, and something that I know you and Dad and we'll introduce them here in a second, but the whole family is really passionate about. It's kind of been a fun project for us. So I'm excited. I know a lot of people ask about the golf course and how did it come to be? How does it tie into everything
Yeah,
else?
so let's talk about
So
it.
in order to do that, we brought back Dad. So Brian Runk, welcome back to the show.
Always glad to be here.
And I'm excited to announce his debut. My brother, his
big
first
hand.
time to the show, Chandler Runk. Welcome.
Hello. I just want to say I'm the last sibling to be on the show.
You are, but we're saving the best for last.
That's right. Right.
You've always been my perfect child, so we're glad to have you here. Yes, we are.
The last is the best.
And you're I think you're the most qualified of any of us here to talk about the game of golf and your love and your passion for it and how God kind of led you into that for your profession. But before we get started into any of that, we want to kind of lay the groundwork, Christopher.
Well, right off the get-go, I already with my brother here, I feel personally attacked.
Well,
I mean-
all babies in the family have a
That's what they all
special
say.
spot,
That's what
right,
moms
Brian?
have to say, right?
Yeah.
You got it. That's exactly right.
And there's 10 years between the two of you. So you were in some really like preteen years whenever Chandler came along. I tell everybody that in the early years, I held a baby bottle in one hand at your basketball games or soccer games, and then I held a sports bottle and then a sports cup in the other hand for you. So that really does tell the difference in your guys' age. But we are proud of Chandler and all that he's accomplished with golf. You're a natural at golf. You don't have to swing every day and do all that practicing, but boy, Chandler puts a lot of hours and a lot of effort, and it's his passion and it's his profession. You just like to get out there and have
Right.
fun.
Just have a little fun.
Yeah.
I do. We'll go ahead and I know it's going to be asked on the comments who's the better golfer, so I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. It is by far Chandler. The younger brother beats me. My goal is once a year. If I can beat him, I'm doing good.
And you enjoy those
If
things,
that,
don't you?
I just have to have a really off day, but usually it happens once a year.
Yeah. And you come through the door pretty sad, and he's like on cloud nine. Yeah.
At that point, I can retire for the year. I'm
that's
done.
right.
So
That's right. So your handicap, Chandler, is what? Tell us what it
Right
is.
now it's 1.
Yeah. So we're dealing with a really good self-taught golfer that had some good coaches along the way, starting in high school.
Yep.
And we are all the men in the family are very
Yeah,
proud
speaking
of
of that,
Chandler.
I can't take any credit for teaching him because I'm definitely not a
But,
one.
but
Maybe-
sometimes when we play, I always teach you some
No,
stuff.
yeah,
and
you
pick
definitely
up
teach
a
me
lot
stuff.
of-
That's for sure.
Yeah, Chandler's a good teacher. He likes to play with a lot of older members in our club. They're usually over 60, and they
The
all
over 60 club.
gravitate. Yeah, the over
Yep.
60 club. And we're so thankful that kind of you've got that personality to nurture those men and to play with them and beat them pretty good sometimes.
right.
And
Those are-
sometimes they beat you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's one member that I play with. His name's Steve. He lives right on hole one, but he's 71 years old, and he can play with anybody. He's a great player.
He's a great friend as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So jumping in.
I think he enjoys that too, because I think it keeps Steve young to being able to play with Chandler, and you can always find him out there playing all the
Well,
time.
it's something we talk about on the show all the time, and it's a single word: connection.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that
My
definitely
favorite
does
word.
it.
Yes.
So I know I have a lot of friends that travel down and play golf. I know we get this question a lot. So I'm going to start off with, I think, the most common question. And you look at, what you guys do with senior living, and you look at your other businesses that we've talked about on the show, and you kind of go, how did you wind up on golf?
That's
out
right.
of all things. So I'll toss that question to you first.
Okay.
Why Ivy Hill? How did Runkin Pratt get involved in golf?
We had, looking into the future almost 10 years ago, we had a conversation that we had to, again, like we've always talked about, stay on cutting edge technology, stay in front of the senior living movement, and where was that industry heading? And we could really visibly see. It was almost like looking through one of those kaleidoscopes and looking into all the colors, and you just see all kinds of different movement with that kaleidoscope. We were looking into a mirror there that showed us that senior living was going to change. And so I think I can date that back to 2014, 2015, that we had a conversation that we wanted to really build our communities to where they were active and we could draw seniors to a product that they would enjoy, and we could create connections and an atmosphere around a product that we felt like would keep our facilities on the cutting edge of things. People would want to go there. It wouldn't be a dreaded thing. And so golf, of all things, popped in my mind. And we were on a trip, and I started looking through again the for sale ads, and it popped up that there was a golf course in Pittsylvania County, right down on the Gretna, Alta Vista, Hurt line that was for sale. And I ran the idea by your dad. He seemed to think that maybe I was onto something and that we could, if we bought the golf course, we could at least bus our clients, all of our seniors in to play, to have dinner at the club, to maybe enjoy the pool. And we were trying to create this active lifestyle.
Well, I think that's an important part, because we're big Disney folks, and we were at the Villages, and whole lifestyle that you get with living in the community piece and how golf plays into that. Because as you age, one of the things that you can always do and enjoy is staying active, is that whole golf piece. I think the other thing that brought us to that point is there was always a need for housing. And we looked at the opportunity for partnering the housing so people could live there, be active, be engaged. But then when the senior living piece came, there was a component that was the edge that gave them why they would move there, because when they had greater needs, healthcare-wise, that could be part of it.
So we met with the council, the economic development committees of all three towns, and we had a town hall, which was so much fun. I can remember being in the theater there in Gretna and having so many people come out to support bringing a senior living component to that little town. And that's about 17, 20 miles down the road from Liberty Ridge.
Yeah.
And they really needed some sort of answer for their aging seniors. A lot of them were ingrained in their county. They had been there all their lives, and the idea of uprooting them and bringing them, even if it's 20 miles, seemed like an eternity to them. So we listened to the seniors in that community. We listened to the economic development committees, and we decided that we would make an offer on what was Alta Vista Golf Club, right? Country
Alta
Club.
Vista Country Club, right.
And so we got the property quickly, and we changed it to the Willows Runkin Pratt Golf Club. And that was our first time in golf, and it was only 9 holes.
It was a good 9 holes, too.
It was you loved it down there.
I did.
And we redid the clubhouse and put money into the pool and really connected with the community. So our plan was that we would do a lot for the community down there, get our name out there, and really show that we could be a strong force for community connections. And we redid the course and put a lot of money into it, made it beautiful. It really was a special little place down there. It had how many acres around it, honey?
almost 300 with everything in it. There was a lot of land. It was close to downtown Alta Vista, and they just were having this severe need for housing, and especially there wasn't any need. There wasn't any senior housing except for one nursing home. So all that played right into what we were seeing, because those folks were traveling to Lynchburg for services.
And during that course of time, Ivy Hill then became on our radar. We had already done it at the Willows, previously the Alta Vista Country Club, and all of a sudden it became a little bit more familiar to us on how to handle the renovation of a course. So we ran into the owner of Ivy Hill. She approached us about the possible purchase of the golf course, and it really did not, we weren't afraid of it, because we knew that we had something special at the Willows, and we had about a couple of years under our belt till we moved on to Ivy Hill. And boy, it's been almost 7 years now with Ivy Hill, and really have enjoyed developing not only the golf course, and you boys can talk more to the grasses and all the different nuances with the holes and the cups and the new putting range and everything that we have going on there, and all that we poured into it as we go along. But in the early development of the entrepreneurship of that land, we had a senior living facility planned.
Correct.
To go right on between hole 6 and hole 7. And we had a big community meeting with a lot of people in Ivy Hill.
We had over 200 people attend. We had realtors talking about the economic impact that would make. We did all of our work with the county. We went through all of the zoning, so everything was approved for that. But so that was really the whole draw with that, was to try to develop some kind of senior housing that would, again, come back to the Villages kind of concept of Florida, where you could get up in the morning, have your breakfast, go golf with your buddy, and still have care and have this active kind of lifestyle, because nobody else was doing that. So we were trying to bring this piece of sort of the Florida lifestyle to our part of Virginia.
That's right. And so many of our seniors would start to come to the golf courses, and we would have field trips, and they would get to use the pool. They'd get to use the pickleball courts. And, of course, we had the lake that we were able to obtain during this time as well, Ivy Lake. They come to the clubhouse and have lunches. They play cards there. Again, it was all about connection. So even to this day, they do all of those things. We have a structure on the property called the Pavilion that we have restored. It is really quite special. We put a lot into that structure as well that goes right out to the pool. We've enlarged the pool area for seating purposes and things like that. And during that time, it just became very clear that really the Lord was blessing our efforts there, and I talk about it all the time. There's not a show that I don't talk about the depression and the anxiety in our senior population. And a lot of the people that are still living at home, and there's over 600 and some homes, more than that now with Farmington, that are housing people off of Perryville Road. And so many of them are seniors, but they're cooped up in their houses, especially in the wintertime, and they can't get out to see their buddies. I know Chandler, the senior league, can't even golf in weather like this, and they come out every Monday to golf.
Every Monday in the summer.
There's the disconnection there, especially in the wintertime. So we wanted to have a clubhouse that would keep having activities, and we could still start, have a few things during the winter months for the connections. And so all of that just kind of took off for us. Now, during that time when we obtained Ivy Hill, it became time for us to look towards the county and the city down in Alta Vista and all down in that area to see about building that housing. And it became very clear to us during that time that it was going to cost more money to turn dirt than we were willing to put into it. And the partnership kind of fell apart. So we felt like it was really important to get the Willows off of our plate, although it was very sad for us to say goodbye. We had fixed it up very nicely, and so that was sold to another partner down there that decided they would take it on. Someone that had come up from the community, lived there, and said, hey, I'll go ahead and take that from you. And I don't know what it is today, but we were sad to leave that behind. But we felt at that time that God was really calling us to put all of our efforts at Ivy Hill And along the way, we obtained Ashley Plantation Golf Course, which gave us a bunch of extra property in Daleville, Virginia, to think about bringing a senior living component to that property right on that golf course as well. That's all in the future for you guys to do after your dad and I retire one day. But the opportunity will be there. So we watch the market, right? And we see when it's time to dive in and add extra beds to what we do. And during that time, we decided that bringing a care facility right between hole 6 and hole 7 probably wasn't the best thing for us to do.
It's actually hole 7 and 8.
Okay, 7 and 8.
Just want to clarify.
Okay, hole 7 and 8.
Because all the golfers would be like, how would that go there? So I just want to clarify.
I told you I'm not the golfer in the
hole
family.
7 and 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to, wow, you covered a ton there. But going back to the very beginning, would you say the thought process into these golf courses and these senior developments, would you say that there was a thought process of it exposed seniors to your Runkin Pratt brand
Absolutely.
earlier in life than when they maybe needed care?
Absolutely. And that really was our goal, because we do have the independent living. And now, over the last 4 years, we've started a new development right on Ivy Hill. Right as you go on to 1, I'm gonna get this right, and turn the corner there onto 2. Beautiful possibility of 150 townhomes that are duplexes that are cottages, is what I call them, and it's called Ava Lace. And we turn over ground and probably build 8 to 10 of those a year right now, and developing that land. And it is so neat to see our vision of the villages coming to life. And those are truly independent living cottages. But, whenever they come over to Ivy Hill and they're exposed to the brand of Runkin Pratt, they know who we are. I know you were with me the other day when I was driving out of the community, and one of our neighbors stopped us. And he said to us, I just want you to know, it was the most wonderful thing. I really didn't know him that well, but he said, I want you to know that I pray for you guys every day. And he was a senior. And in my mind, I'm thinking, he's thinking that one day he may be with us. And so to bathe us in prayer so that we can keep doing what we're called to do, it was just such a blessing. So they bless us more at times than I think we give out. But there's so many activities going on at Ivy Hill, and we're starting to see a lot of younger families come on in too, to all that we're doing, all the wonderful events that we're putting on, bringing community together, and we put a great deal of money, honey, into those events as well.
And on the senior living, home is always the best place. So with the Ivy Lace concept, it's marketed to a 55 and plus sort of market. So we advertise and market to that older population.
Although we have some young people living there as well.
We probably have 2 or 3 younger families, but for the most part, it's a 55 and plus age group. And most of them all love golf and things such as that. But, they also were told one of the reasons that they buy there is that if and when something was to happen, the connection to Runkin Pratt sort of provides an avenue for the senior living component. Now, hopefully they'll never need that, but, at some point in time, I would say at least 30 to 40% of those people need some services from us. But maintaining the relationships by living there, the connection that they know by buying what they're going to get down the road if they need it, and using the services of the golf course, if it's, golf in the mornings, swimming in the afternoon, using the clubhouse, all of that is really what we were trying to even do at the Willows. We just couldn't make the cost effectiveness of making that work there. But at Ivy Hill, that definitely was something that worked for us.
So going back to the Willows, it didn't quite work out for us, right? But I think it's important to realize that although it didn't work for us, it allowed us to cut our teeth on golf and learn the processes and learn the little nuances on a smaller scale, so that when the time did come and the opportunity, or God presented the opportunity of Ivy Hill to us, it wasn't such a big, scary product, because we already had done it at the Willows.
You're exactly right.
So I think that's an important part of the story.
Yeah, Chandler, I don't even know if we would have felt good about going to Ivy Hill, although you probably would have, because you can golf anywhere. But we, learn looking back, talking about entrepreneurship, and you can chime in here. God sometimes will remove things in your life because they're in the way of you going to the next level. And with the Willows, it was certainly the thing. We talked on this couch, about those of us on the couch here, about how to hang on to the Willows. But we ultimately knew that it was time for us to move on to something that we could really grow. And we had the opportunity to bless so many other people. And that is just a lesson in business that sometimes we have to leave some things behind in order to head on to bigger things.
Well, I think on the Willows, when we bought that, the whole piece was to create senior living, and it was housing. Mm-hmm. It just happened to be at a golf course, which we thought was an incredible thing because you have this way to create this active lifestyle. I think that golf sort of found us at Ivy Hill. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think at Ivy Hill, we weren't really looking for that. When the course owner found us, we had to think about that because, we were still cutting our teeth. I mean, we were not experts with golf, but we knew how to take care of people. And I thought we saw the potential of what we were really trying to do at the Willows, but it just couldn't make it happen. That Ivy Hill definitely had that potential with the market, with the kind of clientele that was already there.
And it was twice as big too, boys. Remember, we went from 9 holes to 18 holes. And that was exciting to you, Chandler, because you used to play the Willows twice to get to 18.
Yeah, and plus it's closer too, because the Willows was an hour drive down the road. So.
Yeah, that's
Mom,
right.
whenever Dad initially brought the idea of possibly purchasing another golf course,
Ashley,
whether it was Ashley or at the time Ivy from Willows, what was your initial thoughts? Were you thinking we're going a little crazy here? We're going from one golf course to potentially 3?
Well, let's take that same thought and just say, even the Ashley opportunity came about from a local bank person that was working at a bank in the Roanoke marketplace, but lived in Lynchburg, in Boonesboro, actually, that knew sort of what we had attempted and what had happened at Ivy, and the change that it had made there from the community standpoint, from Ivy Lake, from the golf course, and the whole vibe that we were getting that said, hey, listen, we have a similar product in Daleville, which is right outside of Roanoke. It's a growing area, and so there's
the views are beautiful on that course.
Yeah, it was just
and
so
we bought Ashley 2 years after we bought Ivy.
Right,
That's
right.
So it was 2, 2, and 2.
Yeah.
and Ashley had potential with. At one point, it had 36 holes. So there was the 18-hole golf course, and then there was an extra 9 holes there. And so that had extra land for development. So again, the whole idea of if and when, if God opened those doors, we had the potential for more senior living in a marketplace that was within our window of our footprint. And so that was part of it as well.
So we are building, we are selling off land for senior housing down there too.
But we had land to do that senior living piece as well. And the bank was really courting us because we had proven at Ivy Hill that the whole concept, getting through zoning, all that kind of stuff, that we could do it and we could make it happen. So I felt at Ashley, we sort of were able to save the golf course and give us room for growth. And it really complemented what was happening at Ivy because it was an hour away, but it was a high quality golf course that was, I think enhanced the whole golf piece of what we were doing. So my standpoint is I feel like we sort of stumbled on golf. We really weren't going to look at golf. And from my standpoint, from the business standpoint, it took us 2 to 3 years in the early years to figure all that kind of stuff out. There was a lot of growth with just the right kind of people, the right kind of staff, sort of figuring that kind of stuff out. And so then the synergy of having the course in Daleville with Ashley, I think just enhanced and made Ivy all that stronger. But it was always great for us because living in the Ivy community, it just enhanced everything that we were doing.
Chandler, I remember how I felt, but at those early days, whether it was the Willows or then learning Ivy, then Ashley, as basically a scratch golfer, how did that make you feel to think, here I could have my own kind of little play area, but also allow you to have a future in the golf industry and put your spin on things? What were some of your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's just a blessing just to have that. I mean, you have 2 golf courses you can go to either time. You get to know people from each course, Ivy. I mean, I know a lot of people from Ivy. I know a lot of people from Ashley, but just to have that, you know,
connection.
Yeah, connection with everybody is just a blessing. Mm-hmm. So,
were there any? There has to be some moments early on where you kind of think, "What did I get myself into?" You know, when you're sitting there and you're like, you start learning. There's how many different kinds of grass, and why is it important that I have this specific kind, and why does it cost 7 times as much as the other seed? You know, I know there was so many nuances.
Well, for me, it was that clubhouse, you know, and you decided one day at 9:00 at night, you said, "Mom, come meet me at the clubhouse." Do you remember that?
I do.
And you walked in and you said, "We have to show our clients, our new members coming on, that we're going to do something with this clubhouse." And I don't think it had been touched in over 20 years. And so it gave me a headache, actually, to walk in there and think about what we needed to do to make it ours, to claim it as ours, change it to where we would be proud of having anyone in there to play. And you said, "I just need you to do just a little bit. Just don't do too much. Just do a little bit." Tell everybody what happened the next day.
Well, yeah. I mean, to continue the story, we went in there and it did need a lot of work. You know, the carpet hadn't been changed in roughly 20 years. There are a lot of walls that it was chopped up, a lot of walls that needed to come down, a lot of things that needed to be repainted, a lot of new equipment. It needed a lot of help. We were really proud of Ivy Hill. It had a great name in the community. But, you know, over some years, it
needed some love.
It needed some love, you know, on the turf side and in the building side and all the extras. And I remember in there with his name was Dean Zetmeyer, you know, one of our great employees. Yeah. And he was like, "Chris, we got what are we going to do here? Everybody's excited to see, you know, put your Runkin Pratt touch on it." I was like, "Well, that's not me, but I can tell you who it is, and that's my mother." I said, let me talk to her tonight. And you were tired. I remember you were tired that day. We had a late dinner, like always. We're normally always eating dinner around 8:30 at night. If we're ever in a restaurant, we're going to shut the restaurant down. I can promise you that much.
Amen.
And, you know, I somehow managed to get you to the clubhouse, and you were in there that night, and we were talking about things that we could do. They were all small things, you know, nothing major. And lo and behold, you brought in the crew the next morning. And our crew, I think it was by noon, you had the walls torn down, carpet was being taken out the back door, and it wasn't a few little touches. At that point, it was, I'm redoing this thing down to the studs.
Yeah, we did.
And it's an original barn, and we took it down to the original stalls where the horses used to stay.
You could kind of still smell the old part of the wood from the stables, which was kind of neat. And, you know, once we started ripping everything out, we kind of made it our own. Super proud of the product that we created. And now it's, you know, had so many members that were so very excited. The women got some really great restrooms, which we needed terribly, and just a great place to call home.
And yeah, like I said, I mean, that I would never forget that pulling up at the clubhouse, and Dean, the next day, Dean goes, "What did you say to her?" Because you brought in all the troops, you brought in the Army, and you know, we're blessed to be able to do a lot of that thing, those kind of things in house.
Yeah,
and that's able. I mean, we're proud to be able to do that. You know, be able to bring in our own crews and create whatever vision we have in store. But that clubhouse was probably, I think, the turning point for all the future. Let
people know that we were serious.
Yeah.
You know, here we come. We're serious, and we want you to be proud of your membership here. We want to be able to grow in a way that we need to get rid of the old and bring in the new.
I think for us, too, we weren't golf experts at the time, but you were used to taking buildings and things and trying to, you know, give things a different feel and the decorating side of stuff. So the natural side of what we did was to improve this older clubhouse that needed help. So we attacked the clubhouse with renovations, and people loved that. But, you know, the real avid golfer was like, "This is all great, but it's about the course." I don't know if we fully understood that at the time, because we're like, how could you not be happy? Look at what's happening here. But the golfer, they'll come to a trailer as long as the course is great. I mean, I realize that now, but at the time I did not know that. It's like, how can you complain? They said, well, it's great that you're doing this, but we need to see money in the course. And then that was your next step where you and Chandler sort of came into how we take it to the next level of improving the course versus now that we've got a better clubhouse.
Well, I think that's a great spot for us to stop right here. We're unfortunately out of time. Dad, Chandler, thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned till next week, and we're going to hop on. We're going to finish this. We're going to talk about what we did to that golf course.
Yep.
We're going to get into all the fun details. So make sure you tune in next week right here on Around the Table with Vickie.